Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Unmask Season 2. And of course, this is the first episode. I'm really excited. I have somebody here with me. But before I introduce him, I would introduce myself. I am Akona Tamarakoro, popularly called the Bishop. And I have here with me somebody really amazing. Should I introduce it?
Yes, now.
All right.
Blow my own.
We have the amazing, bright Barry Dakara in the building. Please make some noise.
They should add some sound. You know that will both sound.
Yeah.
I added. At this moment.
It's good to have you here.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much.
I want us to have a very important conversation.
Yep.
Businesses in Africa need to do better. But of course, we can't take away the fact that some businesses are already doing so well. And so today, let's talk about passion to profit.
Okay.
Building sustainable businesses in Africa.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think I'd love for you to first of all share your take on what do you think about business startups in Africa, first of all?
Okay, so first is that we are doing a lot as a continent in trying to take ourselves. I like to see it like this. I like to say that most of the progress that we've experienced in Africa are a function of the works of startups here. We have more private influence than we have public influence, that's government influence. And so I think that African startups are doing a lot in helping us position ourselves as a better standard as against other part of the world, right?
Yeah.
And so that's basically what I think about African startups right now.
Right now.
We are doing a lot and we can do more. We have the ability to transform our world better with the work we're doing.
So, considering the fact that we have a large number of young people who want to be solopreneurs, people are heavy on, I want to do my own thing. People,
Yeah.
I mean, somebody once said, I don't want to work for anybody. And I told the person, you cannot say that. Not working for anybody, indirectly or directly, you must work for somebody.
Yes.
Yeah. So, how can Africans turn their passion to profit?
Okay, so the first thing here is that passion does not necessarily pay, right? And yes, passion is important if you're going to build anything meaningful. I like to tell people that the difference between African businesses, African startups, and Western startups is that we have need for businesses to have real impact on our societies. The guys in the West can decide to do things for just what Obos calls PRO, packaging. And basically, Silicon Valley is going to buy it and raise funding for them, as the case may be. But that does not happen here in Africa. We need businesses that are actually creating real impact.
Yeah. So,
And-
like, we need to create businesses that are people centric.
Yes,
They
yes.
must actually
That
serve
must have an impact on the context of where we are.
Mm.
And so, in that same light, you need a bit of passion for you to drive that, because passion is what creates impact, right? But then beyond that, if you're going to create profit from your passion, you have to structure it. And I think that's where a lot of African businesses are missing it. We have passion-driven businesses that do not have structure. So there is no point where they evolve from just being passion-driven to having structure that creates the profits they're looking for. So they stay within the confines of their feelings, not necessarily what the market determines.
Okay.
So that's basically what
So, what do you think about the idea of actually running a real business? Sometimes we have this idea of businesses in Africa. So, because maybe I see a need of 2-3%, and they say, okay, I was going past my street and I saw that person need to buy this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I start to sell beans here, people go buy you. But without some good level of market survey,
Yeah.
market research, you just feel like 3 of my friends need this thing. Make I sell it. I will sell. And then you do it for a month, running to 2-3, and you're like, business is on my low easy. And a lot of businesses have died because of that.
Yeah.
Right? So my question will be, what do you think we should call a real business in Africa?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so following your analogy of businesses that started with instincts and stuck with it without at any point craving or trying to move from their instincts to real data. You see, the truth is that real businesses are driven by data other than just the instinct and
So
feelings.
I want us to highlight that real businesses are driven by data.
Yes.
So,
So, Now, it's fine to start with instinct. It's fine to start with a feeling, a nudge, right? Oh, I noticed that my street, this doesn't make sense. And then you start. That's what we call beta phase, right? You test out your idea. It's important to do that. But then beyond just the point where you start out with your instinct, you must start looking at the data. There's nothing wrong with pivoting in the middle of the game. African landlord always say that the best fighter or the best strategy is the guy that can change strategy in the middle of the war. right? That's the person that actually wins. There's nothing wrong with saying that you started with beans on your street, and at some point, after looking at the data after a month, you decide to evolve or change into selling rice. You must, at that point, at some point within the journey, be able to pivot and change your strategy. It doesn't change the fact that you're a businessman. A lot of African businesses are driven on ego.
So let's go somewhere. That's a very wide space, because I mean, ego, you need money to boost your ego. So obviously you can marry it. However, let's talk about the challenges that African businesses go through, the unique challenges that African businesses actually go through, and then what are ways you think we can be able to, surmount or go, past those challenges as African startups.
Okay, so the first thing here is that we have an issue with our environment, and the Africans culture and society has somehow created a kind of glass ceiling that kind of limits the way African businesses run. So now, why we appreciate something like the Igbo apprenticeship culture or structure that has helped a lot of Igbo people build wealth, right? There is a limit. There's a kind of glass ceiling that particular structure creates for Africans, because we do not go beyond ourselves. We do not go beyond our little vicinity. There's no point where we start thinking global. That's the first issue African business face. Our mindsets, the kind of mindset and the environment we use
to
to
go into the business
limits
that's the
us.
first
Yes,
challenge.
it creates a limiting barrier for us. So we stay within the confines of our mindset. And for a lot of us, our mindset are just local. So it's important while we have local structures, local adaptations, we must start thinking beyond our locality. So we would like to say you cover your Jerusalem, right? You start from within you and then you spread out, but you must spread out as much as possible to expand and impact beyond Africa. I read something from Tony in this page recently. He said that your success as a person in Africa is really, really required. Africa needs it because it is your success that shapes the picture of what we have as Africa on the wider scale. And so a lot of businesses are limited first in their thinking, in their environment. That's the first issue. The second is that beyond just the thinking and the socio-cultural ideology that limits us, we have a political ideology that limits us. Right. So our governmental system are not designed in such a way that ensures that African businesses can thrive with ease. Let's look at it from this context of credit. How many African businesses have broad access to credit? Right. There is a limit in how much credit we have, and it is sometimes not because of the African businesses or just the government. It's sometimes because of the availability of data. Right. There is less data in that ensures that the banks can hold African businesses accountable, and it's because the government has not put those structures in place.
So
right,
what would you say is the role of the Bank of Industry in African businesses?
Basically what we're talking about now, credit facilities, funding, right? But then these different institutions can only function when, like we like to say, everything is kind of interconnected. Imagine if till now, as a government, we do not have proper data on the number of children or on the number of individuals we have within our environment, population. We don't have proper data that can help us engineer some kind of results and from this data, right? It limits how much banks can do for us, because bank giving out credit is largely dependent on data. That is one. The second thing is that so recently I think that Asiwaju's government is beginning to try to do all of those things to help us get better results. We now have better tax rules and tax reforms that help small businesses thrive. But I think that
because do you think the tax reforms work in favor of big businesses too? Because I've heard people complain that the level of taxation they get from the monies that would come into your account. So for example, you have policies like if you have a certain amount, like let's say 10 million coming to your account, you have to inform EFC. Business owners are now trying to go through some other routes to accessing their money, because they feel if I pass this money through my business account, chances are that I would have to pay more, because the tax reform.
that's tax evasion.
Yeah. So what do you think about that? What's your view about that?
I think that it is very, very hypocritical for business owners who are fighting theft in their businesses to steal from the government. Right? I think it's very, very hypocritical. Now, do I think that people trying to cut costs or reduce costs is a bad thing? No, I don't. But I think that the tax reforms are designed in such a way to ensure that businesses stay accountable to the government. One. Now, you talked about the 10 million naira thing. It's actually 5 million. EFCC needs you to record or report 5 million, around 5 million to them. It's not because they're trying to make any money out of it. It's just necessarily because they need to be able to ensure that fraud is not happening within your system. So they are not trying to limit how far you can go. They're just trying to ensure that fraud doesn't happen. And so businesses try to evade these things and they blame it and say the government is trying to take so much. The government is not trying to take anything that they are not supposed to take. If you do business outside this context, in Western context, they take more, right? The difference here is that it is all of these alliances and compliances that allows the government to be able to create credit facilities in the way that these businesses want it. How does the Bank of Interest get funding for loans? It is through structures like this. And so we want to evade them, or we want to hold the government responsible for that type. I think it's hypocritical for a lot of businesses to do that.
So moving on from there, So we've had companies like MoneyPoint, Flutter, we've solved real-time problems, right? So what do you think African startups can learn from these two business models I just highlighted?
Okay, so first things first is that I like to talk about MoneyPoint because I think I recently read about their story, and for a lot of startups, especially tech startups, one of the issues we have is with the models that we're trying to run. We see global ideas and we don't find local adaptation for them. We just take them as they are from the global
And then try
to try it out. So one of the things that made MoneyPoint very successful was that beyond just offering payment solutions, they went down to the grassroots. For a lot of businesses, they I think MoneyPoint is probably one of the larger market shareholders for POS system in Nigeria and especially payment solutions, down so much that even our grandmothers that really do not even know how to use tech are using MoneyPoint. And it's because they tried grassroots implementation. One of the things that help African businesses try is grassroots implementation. We Vusi was saying the other day that we do not need another unicorn. Right, what we need are zebras, and he was trying to explain what he meant. He was basically saying that unicorns are businesses that just chase after valuation. Zebras actually go down to the unicorns are unique. You only see probably one in a time frame. Zebras are as much as possible trying to create the same kind of result at the grassroots level. We need businesses that reach down to the grassroots level. That is how you can put your name in the echoes of time, so much that you don't go out of extinction. You don't go into extinction with any small wave of understand, because you must build a business that adapts to your locality. Now, we told you to think big, true. We told you to think global, too. We told you to look out for global solutions and pull them here. But you must bring them within local adaptation. What works within you? And that happens with data. You must look at the data. You must look at what is applicable. You must find a way to tailor the solution to impact on local representation. You can't just stay in some big. Somebody launched I think I mentioned this story. Somebody launched a hospitality app. The app was basically supposed to help people locate hotels, locate clinics around Port Harcourt City. And the only thing the person was doing to sell this app was to go to different tech conferences and talk about the app. That's not you trying to create actual revenue model, actual business model. You should be working to clinics. You should be registering them. You should be getting them to tell their people that there's an app that they can use to locate them. You should be getting these clinics to promote themselves with your app. You should be promoting these clinics directly. But what you're doing is go to different and promote the app, hoping that you get investors to fund you. That's all tech startups are doing here. They are not looking for local adaptations. They are not solving real-time grassroots issues.